Before we do this special episode on Maundy Thursday with Pastor Jeff McCullough, I just want to remind you of the opportunity to get the audio version of my book, the audiobook of the Easter Connection, because it focuses on the events of Thursday and Friday. And it seems to me like this would be a perfect day. You can get that today because it's audio. You can download it, listen to it immediately, and it's very short. So you could listen to it partially today, partially tomorrow, or all of it in either day. But in my mind, it's the perfect way to really get yourself into the events of Thursday and Friday, the most important events in the history of the cosmos. And I would love for you to do that. It's at DeseretBook.com or Deseret Bookshelf. You can get that audio book. And it's called The Easter Connection by me. I hope it will add to your Easter worship and your connection with Christ and your understanding of that and your relationship with God. That's why I wrote it. I hope it does that for you. Happy Maundy Thursday. Well, hello, and welcome to our special Holy Week edition of The Scriptures Are Real. I'm your host, Kerry Muhlstein, and I'm so happy to have back with me Pastor Jeff McCullough. Thank you for being with us, Pastor.
It's great to be here again. Thanks, Kerry.
So I won't do much of an introduction. We just did it a couple days ago. I'll refer everyone to Holy Monday. If they haven't seen that yet, please go watch our episode on that. But Pastor Jeff is here in Utah as an evangelical pastor, also engaging in interfaith efforts, especially through his YouTube channel, Hello Saints, which I highly recommend to you and would encourage everyone to go watch. So anything else you'd like to say about that, Jeff?
No, I think you covered it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are glad for what you're doing as a whole and glad that you're here with us today. Thank you for that.
I appreciate you having me, for sure.
So today is Holy Thursday, and that also called Maundy Thursday, right, from the commandments, and I'll let you talk about that if you'd like to. But we'll also just preface it by saying that I think while traditionally members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints have not done a lot to celebrate every day of Passion Week, I think even when people haven't celebrated it, Thursday's been on their mind. Because I think my sense is that among Christian communities, the Gethsemane is important for every Christian, but we tend to make more of it than most do. And in fact, I think it's just now in the last, 20, 30 years or something like that, that we're starting to give as much attention to Friday as we should. And it's my personal belief that suffering for sins happened both on the cross and in Gethsemane. And I think we have good evidence for that as members of our church. But this is an important day for us, and yet often members of my church, it's my experience, don't know what to do about that other than pray, read the scriptures, and so on. So I'd love your thoughts on Maundy Thursday.
Maundy Thursday is a it's so concentrated. It's jam-packed with so much of what was taking place. And I will say, at least in my context, we've kind of lumped Maundy Thursday and Good Friday together. A lot of what we celebrate or commemorate or reflect on Good Friday and a Good Friday worship service or gathering oftentimes is pulling in a lot of the Maundy Thursday events, taking communion and doing some of those things.
They're really inseparable. I mean,
they are.
What starts at the Last Supper doesn't end until the death.
That's right. Yes, until we get to the, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. From the Last Supper to that moment, it's back to back. There's a lot going on there. So to that point, though, one of the things that I like to reflect on when it comes to Maundy Thursday is there's so much about it that mimics or it kind of unfolds in parallel to what we see with the Israelites' Exodus. You have them sitting around a table, the disciples sitting around a Passover meal, Jesus saying that he has been anticipating, he's been longing to have this meal with them. And it's paralleling that final terrible plague in Egypt, where unless they took the blood of a spotless lamb and placed it over the doorpost of their home, they would be facing, the judgment of God. and how Jesus is commemorating that, sitting around that table as the spotless lamb. There wasn't a lamb on the table, but there was a lamb at the table. And so you've got that parallel there, the last day in Egypt, and you have the last day with Jesus, the Last Supper. And then as he then is instructing them and engaging with his disciples, there's this cleansing idea around the washing the feet of his disciples. And the cleansing of sorts that took place at the Red Sea when the Israelites were crossing this great body of water through the provision of Christ, releasing them from the bondage of their slavery in Egypt, cleansing them from that bondage. And then when they're on the other side of it, not only they're being cleansed from that bondage, but they are also being freed from their captives as the judgment of God through the Red Sea collapses down on the Egyptians. How that is reflected in the washing of feet and the cleansing of letting Christ himself serve us and be the cleansing agent in our lives, and bringing us purification, in a sense, before God, so that we can stand on that holy ground before him because we've been served by Christ in that manner. And then once you even move beyond that, the new command, that's a whole Maundy Thursday, right? The mandatum novum in Latin, that's where we get Maundy Thursday. And it's this new commandment I give you, that you would love one another as I have loved you, which is similar to, where did they go after the Red Sea? They went to Mount Sinai, and they're receiving these commandments from God, entrance into the holiness of covenant and relationship with him. The thing that is so masterful about the Lord is how he rhymes, how he is so poetic in the way he exemplifies his character and relates to us. So Maundy Thursday is packed with so much before we even get to Gethsemane.
Yes.
That I think is so beautiful. And the commemoration of each of those points of reflection, I think, are really important for us. And yeah, it goes without saying, once you do get into Gethsemane, we are not going to put as much of an emphasis on the actual atonement taking place in the garden, as I think might be taught in the Latter-day Saint context, where we believe the full atonement was on the cross where his blood was shed. That doesn't underplay or downplay the significance of Gethsemane, where Jesus is in such duress as he is walking in this unity with us in the grief and the sorrow that's gripping him as he faces his death. That is how human he was in that moment, and how much he loved us in that moment, that he was so mortally tied to us in that unity. And yet, not my will, but yours be done. He is being inseparably unified with the will of the Father. And it is in that unity that quite literally is ripping him apart. And yet he still goes through with it. I mean, there's no greater moment in the scriptures that show the love of God, the love of Christ, in his willingness to face what he needed to face out of his love for us and his love for the Father. So Gethsemane is such a powerful, pivotal moment for all of us that, man, we could spend all day, morning to evening, sun up to sundown, reflecting on these things on Maundy Thursday before we even get to the cross, because there's just so much that we see in the heart of Christ in all of those events.
That is so beautifully said. I appreciate that. I don't want to add anything to that. I love how you've talked about it and the way you've expressed it. So thank you for that. It's my hope that my audience, whether that be which is mostly members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but I hope that there may be some other Christians who are interested in this as well, that whoever my audience is, that this will help them jump into the scriptures about what happened there and jump into prayer. And maybe that's not a good phrase. Maybe we don't jump into prayer, maybe that, but solemnly approach prayer.
I think that's a good call, because that's precisely what Jesus was inviting his followers to do that night in Gethsemane.
Yeah. He did.
Yeah, and that's what he did as well. I think that's the perfect way to commemorate Maundy Thursday.
Yeah. So I appreciate that. Thank you Pastor, and I hope you're having a wonderful Passion Week when this airs, that it's a wonderful time for your family and for all of our audiences. So thank you.
Thank you for inviting me into this discussion.